Yeah, just in case. It's going to be one person at a time. So, Jemima, do you want to come to the stage? Guys, can you put your hands together for Jemima, please?
Hello? Can everyone hear me? My name is Jemima Mitra. I am a poet from Hull, and I'm going to be speaking to you today about racism. And I just want to thank everyone for coming. Look around you. Look how many people have decided to show up on a rainy day and stand together to fight racism. I am so proud to be from this city. The people here have real heart and real soul, and they stand up for what is right. And 100 years ago, our grandparents was fighting world wars against white supremacy and against Nazis, and it is our generation's turn now. Brown and black people, look around at you. The white friends that have come with you, they are your allies. They are the people that decided to show up and support you right now. And I just want to ask everyone to take a step back, because it isn't as social distance as it could be. So if you can, just shuffle a bit back, give people a bit more space. Because we are in a pandemic and you guys need to be safe. I just want to thank a few people before I get into my speech. I want to thank the staff at Winifred Holtby Academy, the English department, who refreshed my memory on transactional writing and speech writing when I worked there for a year. I want to thank the staff at Winifred Holtby. I also want to thank the people that organised this protest. One 17-year-old and one 18-year-old organised this protest in Hull today. Their names are Angel and Chloe. Angel and Chloe. Remember though, do not tell people that young voices don't know anything, that they have nothing to teach us. Young voices brought everyone here today. And just a quick note, I am high risk in this pandemic, and I know a few high-risk people have decided to show up. So as soon as my speech is done, I have to go to limit my risk. And if you are high risk today, make sure you get home safe and get home quickly. Also, and I just want to remind you guys that, yes, we are all here because Black Lives Matter. But the important thing, the long game that we are playing is eventually to defeat capitalism. But that is not the point we are here right now. We are here because Black Lives Matter. That is a priority right now. So focus your energy on that. So first of all, I want to educate a bit. Why are people racist? The reason people are racist is because they are uneducated or they have been miseducated. Okay? Tony Blair might have been a war criminal, but he knew the power of education. And our history syllabus is failures. I read a tweet the other day, and it said, the reason British people are uneducated is because our history syllabus is 1066, some kings, skip all the racist bits, the big wars we won. Okay? Hull isn't an area that is as multicultural as other cities. And sometimes people are racist because they haven't had to engage on a day-to-day basis with brown or black people. Sometimes people are racist because they get their news on Facebook. They have not been taught to think critically and read properly, so they get defensive and uncomfortable when faced with the truth. A lot of the time, it's not their fault that they're racist. And I think that's something that you need to understand before you try to educate someone. So how do we deal with racists? The great thing about racism is that it's illogical, which means that you can easily debate a racist and get them to think critically about their answers. It doesn't make sense to treat someone differently because of the colour of their skin. Therefore, it's easy to debunk, okay? I truly believe there is not one racist in the world that you can educate and they will change their mind. If you keep trying, they will change their mind, so don't stop trying. Even a racist can understand logic. They understand that when you have opinions, people will not take you seriously unless you can back that up with facts and statistics. And that's how you need to argue against a racist. Do not argue with emotion. Do not resort to name calling. Show them the facts. Let them decide. For non-black people, that includes brown people like me, non-black people, it is our responsibility to educate others. We cannot ask an oppressed group to do the educating. They've already been oppressed. It does not make sense for them to teach us to not oppress them. Okay? And when you back up your argument with facts, you need to ask the racist to do the same, because that's when their argument crumbles. There are no facts, there are no statistics to support racism. What I'm about to ask you to do is going to be uncomfortable, and you're probably going to hate me a little bit for it. But when you are trying to argue with a racist and change their mind, you need to comfort them to an extent. Because a lot of the times their racism is not their fault. And a lot of the times we have to use compassion and empathy to make sure that they understand where we are coming from. And that's going to be hard for the brown community particularly, because we've been oppressed too. But we have not been oppressed to the point we're being murdered in the streets. And that's something that you need to understand. Brown people can be racist to black people too. We are not innocent. I was ignorant too, but I educated myself. Encourage them to understand that not everyone is perfect. It should be normalised that when we have new information that we change our opinion. How else are we supposed to grow as people? Black people, I'm addressing you now. You are under no obligation to educate others. If you need to block, unfollow, unfriend a racist, you do that. Look after yourself. Look out for your mental health, because it is not your responsibility to educate it. It's ours. And white allies, I need you to look out for your black friends. Do you realise how triggering these events these past few days have been for them? Do you realise what toll that takes on someone's mental health when they see people looking like them getting murdered on the streets? Imagine what that might feel like. Now, anti-blackness in the POC community, the non-black POC community. If you are a person of colour today and you are not black, listen very carefully. Racism and anti-blackness exists in our community too. This can take the form of bleaching creams. This can take the form of not going out in the sun because you're scared of becoming darker. This can look like fetishizing black culture and music but not caring about their rights. If you are grown today, you cannot say the N-word. We may experience passive aggression and that kind of racism, but we are not getting murdered. We need to be there. We need to believe that Black Lives Matter too. We need to educate ourselves and unlearn anti-blackness within us. Now I'm going to talk about the role of Christianity in support of Black Lives Matter. I am so proud Jubilee Church Hull has decided to support this cause. My church is here supporting this cause. And you're probably wondering why I'm bringing up Christianity, right? But 59.5% of the British public are Christians. That's over a half of us. And they need to listen and they need to change their ways, because I am not allowing my faith be used to deflect from personal ignorance. Trump recently did a photo op in which he tear-gassed peaceful protesters to pose in front of a church and with a Bible. Has that man ever even read a Bible? Can he even read? I don't know about you, but if you are Christian here today, I do not want to be lumped in with a racist, a rapist, paedophile, claiming to be a Christian. Christianity is a religion of liberation and equality, not fascism. We should not let the most common religion in the world to be twisted to justify evil. Jesus was a brown man who got killed by police. And he had dreadlocks apparently. And I would like to read two passages from the Bible, and you can judge for yourself which describes police brutality and which describes protesters. Psalm 35. O Lord, oppose those who oppose me, fight those who fight against me. Put on your armour, take on your shield, prepare for battle and come to my aid. Lift up your spear and javelin against those who pursue me. Let me hear you say, I will give you victory. Bring shame and disgrace on those trying to kill me. Turn them back and humiliate those who want to hurt me. Blow them away like chaff in the wind, a wind sent by the angel of the Lord. Make their path dark and slippery with the angel of the Lord pursuing them. I did them no wrong and they laid a trap to me. I did them no wrong and they dug a pit to catch me. So let sudden ruin come upon them. Let them be caught in the trap they set for me. Let them be destroyed in the pit they dug for me. Then I will rejoice in the Lord. I will be glad because he rescues me. With every bone in my body I will praise him. Lord, who can compare to you, who rescues the helpless from the strong? Who else protects the helpless and poor from those who rob them? Isaiah 59. Their deeds are evil deeds, and acts of violence are in their hands. Their feet rush into sin. They are swift to shed innocent blood. They pursue evil schemes. Acts of violence mark their ways. The way of peace they do not know. There is no justice in their paths. They have turned into crooked roads. No one who walks among them will know peace. I want every Christian here, which is approximately more than a quarter of you, to think on those words. The way of peace they do not know. There's no justice in their path. Say it with me. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. Now I want to talk about the importance of person of colour, I do not want to speak over black voices. The way we understand racism is by listening to black voices and those who are to tell us that when we are being older, when we are being out of order, we need to change. We need to not get defensive, but listen and learn from our mistakes. Hull is a very white area in comparison to other cities. Raise your hand if you have a black friend who lives in Hull. That's pretty much everyone here. So pay attention to this. I want you to understand how a black person might feel growing up in this city. This is a Twitter thread written by a black girl named Chevy, who was the only black person in her classes growing up. She grew up in Cornwall, but her experiences applies still here. Her Twitter is at Chevy_Oaks. I asked her if I could read out this thread so people can understand what it might be like for your black friend to grow up in this city. So these are her words, these are Chevy's words. Being black in Cornwall, where 98% of the people were right. People asking me if they can call me the N-word as a nickname, and then proceeding to do so anyway. Back then it didn't bother me because I let it go, but now when I look back, it was kind of messed up. Being called out for using the race card, and people saying, you're not dark anyways, you're not black, you're just mixed race. People assuming I'm not from this country, or that people, or my parents aren't from this country, or asking personal questions about my parents. School's not doing anything to punish racism. I would sometimes go home crying over passing comments made, and no one realised how humiliating that it could be to sit in a class and have people point out that you're not like the rest of the students. Barely covering black history in school, apart from one topic on the slave trade. Woo! People saying, I've always wanted to be black, but would you accept the prejudice that comes with it? This is such a patronising statement. Don't think of it as a compliment. Being scared to meet people's parents in case they don't like you or judge you. Having my uncle and cousins come to visit and people referring to us as monkeys. My uncle phoned to check for vacancies at a B&B, and when he got there, they wouldn't open the door. I want you to think if you have ever put your black friend in that situation. And if you have, I want you to apologise to them. So I'm going to finish off now. Thank you for listening so patiently. I'd like to finish with 2 poems. I wrote this poem upon hearing about what happened to Joy Morgan. How many people here have heard the name Libby Squire? How many people here have heard the name Joy Morgan? Yep. Exactly. Joy Morgan went missing around the same time Libby Squire did. She was also a black university student. She went missing from Hertfordshire, and no one knows her name. Think on that. Why does no one know her name? Say her name, Joy Morgan! Joy Morgan! And also, if you think that racism is not an issue in Hull, it is. Yes. Say the name Christopher Adler. Christopher Adler! His death is going to count. Yes. People are going to change. We are going to remember him. So this is a poem I wrote in memory of Joy Morgan, and it's called Why I'm Scared to Travel Alone. My friends tell me to go alone and experience the world for myself, but I don't think that they understand that I've placed adventure on a dusty shelf. Immigrant lives have become disposable in our broken world. Every day there's an advert trying to get us sold on the idea that these people matter. Add some sad music too, to try and convince the general public they're just like me and you, and it hurts me to know that the outcry isn't as much if an Asian girl goes missing or if a black man gets killed, because when people of colour suffer, everyone seems more chilled. Maybe because it's so frequent that we're all desensitised, but it's all our responsibility to remember these are people's lives. So do you care? When London black youth are lost to knife crime, Will you say it's such a shame and take another drag? Will you proclaim in a subtle brag of how woke you are, and that by telling your dad off for saying packy, society has come so far? My friends tell me to go by myself, but they don't understand my fear of escaping to a different place that is so very far from here, because here I have friends, family, people that will search in a hurry. But if I went missing abroad, their voices would be lost in the news flurry. I'd like to go travelling. Some of you don't know how lucky you are that when you leave the country, you don't worry about getting spiked at a foreign bar. You can walk strange streets with excitement and wonder you're not constantly worrying about making a safety blunder, and it's hard to stay positive when the differences are so clear. For girls of colour in particular, it's hard to escape from here. I'd like to go backpacking, taste the exotic cuisine. I'd like to walk alone at night, for my legs to not cause a scene, to strut with the confidence of a young James Dean, a rebel without a cause, travelling without a cause, living a life that is known. With brown bodies are disposable, right? And nobody needs to hear their plight, because we've heard it all before. Slavery, colonialism, war after war, persecution of colour has conjured a life slightly duller, because we've never been seen as important in all of history. Can you understand now how it's hard for someone like me? Joy Morgan was missing for months, and the most coverage she was getting is through a retweeted picture on Twitter. Doesn't the media know that she has friends and family who miss her? But my point is that no matter how often it happens, that we matter too. And if I go missing, it probably won't make local news, but won't you look for me the way that they'd look for you? Thank you. I'd like to finish off with some words by Black women. So this is a poem written by a black poetess called Nikki Giovanni. It's called Allowables. And I want you to think how it relates to police brutality. I killed a spider, not a murderous brown recluse, not even a black widow. And if the truth was told, this was only a small, sort of papery spider who should have run when I picked up the book, but she didn't. And she scared me, and I smashed her. I don't think I'm allowed to kill something because I am frightened. Thank you. One last thing. For those who are disabled here and need toilet access, I just want everyone here to know that the BBC made an exception to let me use their facilities as a disabled person. And if they are going to do the right thing today, they will let other disabled people access the closest toilet facilities, which is in the BBC building. And if they don't, shame on them! And I just want to finish with Polystyrene's words. Polystyrene was a black punk singer from the 70s in the band X-Ray Specs. And I want to finish with her words. And she said this: "Oh bondage, up yours."
We hear you, don't we, guys?
No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! Right, up next, Jemima mentioned a really important name, Christopher Adler. He was a black man who died the same way that George Floyd did. It wasn't a knee to his neck, but it was the same, not being seen, not being heard. It was the same story. And nobody batted an eyelid. So today we've got Jordan, who's going to talk to us about the GoFundMe page for the Christopher Adler project that they're going to be working on. He'll tell you information. And on top of that, we have Christopher Adler's sister. This is somebody who has lost her brother to the brutality that we are standing up against. So everybody, if you could please give them a round of applause as they make their way to the stage. Christopher